A very good morning to Madam Zelina. Today, we as the Kumpulan 4 in the class group D of the course BEEB1013 would like to present chapter 10 with the title which is National Income Equilibrium and Aggregate Expenditure. And here are the objectives that we will learn from this chapter, which is firstly, we will learn the consumption and saving function. Secondly, we will learn the APC, APS, MPC, and MPS. Thirdly, we will learn economy 2 and 3 sectors. And the next, we will learn national income equilibrium, which is table or numerical and graphical approach. And then lastly, we will learn the expenditure and income approach. Okay, so let us move to chapter 10.1, which is consumption and saving function. Consumption and saving function are related concepts in economics that describe how individuals allocate their income. The consumption function illustrates how consumption expenditure changes with alterations in income, while for the saving function depicts how saving corresponds to variation in income levels. Consumption is assumed to vary directly with income, while saving function may be derived with the aid of the consumption function, which is the stable function of income. Okay, so let us look at this next slide. The situation that I have mentioned above only will be happen into closed economy, which is the sector with just household and firms without government intervention and also without the international trade, which is two-sector economy. So, in the aggregate function, household is represents of income, while the letter C represents expenses or also called as consumption, while the letter S is savings. There are two aggregate functions, which is consumption function as well as saving function. Both of these functions are straight line function. Okay, the consumption function is C equal to A plus BY, while the saving function is S equal to negative A plus 1 minus BY. In short, the saving function also equal to Y minus C, which is income minus with consumption. In both of these functions, Y is income, C is consumption, and B is MPC, which is the result of changes of C divided by changes of Y. Okay, let us look at this graph, which has shown the level of aggregate consumption since the straight line is from the left side upsloping to the right side. So, by concentrating on this graph, we can realize that the higher levels of income, the higher levels of consumption spending. And for the slope of line, which is B, that I have mentioned just now, which is MPC, that resulted by the changes of C divided by the changes of Y. Moreover, I would like to present chapter 10.2, which is the APC, APS, MPC, and MPS. First and foremost, the APC, which is average propensity to consume, is the ratio between the consumption expenditure and income. While for the APS, which is average propensity to save, is the ratio between the saving and income. In fact, both of these formulas are almost same. Because for the APC, we use the total consumption expenditure, which is C, divided by the total income, namely Y. While for the APS, we divide the total saving, which is S, by the total income, namely Y. So, the formula between APC and APS are almost same because both of these formulas are divided by total income. The only difference is APC used the total consumption expenditure, while APC used the total saving. Next, we move to the MPC and MPS. MPC, which is the marginal propensity to consume, is the proportion of an additional unit of income that households spend on consumption, while for the MPS is marginal propensity to save, which is the proportion of an additional unit of income that households save rather than they spend on consumption. And the formula for MPC is also similar to MPS. To illustrate, the MPC ratio is used the change of total consumption expenditure divided by the change of total income, while for the MPS is using the change of total saving divided by the change of total income. So, the formula for MPC and MPS are similar because both of these formulas are divided by total income. And the only difference between them is MPC used the change of total consumption expenditure, while for the MPS used the change of total saving. Okay, let us look at some examples through the schedule. In the schedule, in number 2, we can find the APC by dividing the total consumption expenditure, which is 900,000, with the total income 500,000. So, we will get the APC as 1.8. Then, we can find out the APS by dividing the total saving, which is negative 400,000, with the total income 500,000. So, we will get our APS as negative 0.8. Moreover, before we find out the MPC, we should know the change of total consumption expenditure first. So, we use the C in number 2, which is the 900,000, minus the C in number 1, which is 600,000. And we will get the change of total consumption expenditure as 300,000. And the same procedure passes to YD to find out the change of total income. So, we use the total income in number 2, which is 500,000, minus with YD in number 1, which is 0. So, we will get the change of YD as 500,000. After finding out the change of total consumption expenditure, we divided by it by the change of total income, which is 300,000 divided by 500,000. So we will get the MPC as 0.6. Lastly, to find out the MPS, we should know the change of total saving first. So we use the S in number 2, which is negative 400,000, minus the S in number 1, which is negative 600,000. And we will get the change of total saving as 200,000. And the same process to YD to find out the change of total income. So we use the total income in number 2, which is 5,000, minus with YD in number 1, which is 0. So we will get the change of YD as 500,000. After finding out the change of total saving, we divided it by the change of total income, which is 200,000 divided by 500,000. So we will get the MPS as 0.4.
In 10.3, I will be explaining about national income equilibrium and also aggregate expenditure for 2 and 3 sector economy. The component of economy in 2 sectors only involves household and also firms. Household play as the role as the consumer in the demand side, while firm play the role as the supplier in the supply side. Thus, the component of expenditure only involve consumption and also investment. Households supply labor to the firms and receive income. What is C? C is stand for consumption. Consumption is the sum of expenditure on durable, non-durable, or services, which is known as the largest component in the aggregate expenditure. While firms, in the other hand, act as a producer or suppliers. Firm expenditure is investment. Investment can be influenced by factors such as interest rate, cost, or efficiency of capital goods, demand for product, business taxes, and expectation for the future. So from 2 sector economy, we can see that if interest rate is increased, the investment will decrease, while if a demand is increased, the investment will increase. If a cost of the price is decreased and the efficiency is increased, so the investment will increase. Lastly, if the business taxes is increased, the investment will decrease. So component of economy in 3 sectors only consists household, firms, and also governments. The government tax in goods and services market only includes the government expenditure G and also taxes T that we know it as a fiscal policy. In addition of government sector, the aggregate expenditure will now include consumption, investment, and also government expenditure. So from the 3 sector economy, we can see that if a business taxes is increased, the consumption will decrease.
So next, I will explain about tabulation approach. As you can see on the table, Y is aggregate output, which means that Y equal to YD, C is consumption, I is planned investment, S is saving, AE is aggregate expenditure, and Y minus AE means unplanned change in inventory. So to get equilibrium point, we need to make sure Y equal to AE and also S equal to I. On this table, we can see that Y is 4,000 equal to AE, which is also 4,000. S is 200 and also I is 200. That's how we know it's an equilibrium point. So for the example of numerical analysis, we refer to the previous table. For consumption, it is the money people spend and its fixed amount, which is 600 ringgit and plus to 0.8 YD. How do we get 0.8 YD? Is from the table. 1018 we minus by 600 and we divide by 600 minus 0. Investment is 200 ringgit, which is the fixed amount of how people invest on something. Y is the sum of what people spend, which is C, and what they invest is I. Since YD is the same as Y, we write it as Y equal to 600 plus 0.8 YD plus 200. Simplifying this, we get Y equal to 800 plus 0.8 YD. Now we want to find out what YD is, so we rearrange the formula. We get Y minus 0.8 YD equal to 800. This means that we assume Y is equal to 1 and we minus it with 0.8 and we get 0.2 YD is equal to 800. To find out how much YD is, we divide 800 by 0.2 and we get the total money everyone earned is 4,000 million ringgit. So next, I will explain about the identity equation, which means that Y equal to C plus S. So imagine that Y is like all the money that you get, C is the money you spend on something, S is the money you save in your bank. So all the money you get, Y, is either spent on something, C, or save in your bank, S. So equilibrium means that Y equal to E. This means that all the money that you get, which is Y, is equal to all the money that gets used up in the economy, which is AE. Think of AE as all the money that people spend and save. So if we replace A in B, is when you put the first equation into the second one, it says the money you spend and save, which is C plus S, is equal to the money everyone used in the economy, which also means C plus I. So here, C is the same on both sides. So it means that the money you save, which is S, is the same as the money invested in things, which is I. So if everyone save more money, there's more money to be used for investing in things. And if everyone save less, there's less money for investing. So for the next is when things are not balanced, which means that unequilibrium, is S is more than I, which means that if you save more money than what's being invested, people will start spending less because they have more in their banks. This will go on until the amount saved equals the amount invested. So for the S, less than I, so if you save less money than what's being invested, people will spend more. Over time, saving will increase until the amount saved equals the amount invested.
Next, I will be talking about topic 10.5, expenditure and income approach. In equilibrium, aggregate expenditure AE is equal to aggregate output income Y. Both expenditure and income calculation should give the same GDP value, which means the calculation of GDP is equal to Y equal to AE to C plus I and plus G. Disposable income is a gross income minus tax, mathematically expressed as YD equal to Y minus T. Planned investment can be divided by two, autonomous and induced. Autonomous investment is an independent of the level of income that will imply when a change in the level income in economy, while induced refers to investment which changes as the level in income that will change in economy. Firm investment can be categorized into planned investment and also unplanned investment. Planned investment is fixed. It does not change when income change, while unplanned investment is an investment during a period that firm did not intend to make. The calculation will be the actual investment equal to planned investment plus changes in inventory. If actual investment is bigger than planned investment, the change in inventory will be positive. Otherwise, if actual investment is smaller than planned investment, the changes in the inventory will be negative. The first graph shows the situation in two-sector economy when investment is increased. Expenditure approach will reach equilibrium when Y equal to AE intercept with Y equal to C plus I, which means when the investment is increased, a curve C plus I will move to a new curve C plus I1. There will appear less stock, so the firm will increase the output, and the new equilibrium point E1 will reach at Y1 equal to C plus I1. Both national income and aggregate expenditure will increase. So when the aggregate output Y is greater than aggregate expenditure AE, Y is bigger than AE, or Y is bigger than C plus I, thus the real investment IR is greater than the planned investment IP. Hence, in order to get back to the equilibrium level, we need to decrease the aggregate output Y. In conclusion, in the two-sector economy, equilibrium level reached when Y equal to AE or Y equal to C plus I. Real investment must equal with planned investment, IR equal to IP. In three-sector economy, we include taxes. The aggregate output is no longer equal to disposable income. That means Y is not equal to YD. Equilibrium point when Y equal to AE intersect with Y equal to C plus I plus D in output at Y1. So when the taxes increase, both consumption and aggregate expenditure will decrease. There will be appear excess stock and the firm will decrease the output, and this process will continue until they reach the new equilibrium point at Y equal to C1 plus I and plus G. At the end, both national income and also aggregate expenditure will decrease. Lastly, in income approach for two-sector economy, the calculation for gross domestic product is equal with wages plus interest plus rent and also plus profits, while it is a little bit different from the three-sector economy that include wages plus interest plus rent plus profit plus with taxes minus transfer. Transfer is the transfer payment made by the government to household or firms, such as social security benefits, unemployment benefits, and also subsidies.